Thursday morning. You know what that means. And he's on the microphone with Brian and Gene. The morning sickness show is where I want to be. Strumming my guitar, soft and gently. Where bacon rules all, and Bloody Marys are tall, and Pearl Street beers chase them all. I'm here to sing to you, tell you have a great day, and don't forget to come rock out with Tug Sunday.
Our good buddy Andy Hughes from many years ago with the Thursday song. Kicking off a Thursday morning. 65-ish with clouds, and then look out tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely throughout the area, continuing into the early part of the morning. And not as warm as we had expected. I originally thought I saw 70 degrees when I was looking at the forecast earlier this week, but it looks like today's going to be the warmest of the days. Looks like it's going to drop back down to the mid-50s tomorrow.
Yeah, rain returns, I think even later this afternoon. Morning stays dry, but then we've got a chance that will increase this afternoon, and not as beautiful of an Easter weekend as one would like, but this is where we're at.
Hypothetical Thursday, we'll get to that after 7 o'clock. Office Cora will join us just after 8 a.m. to talk about what she's up to this weekend in the 715. Tax refunds making their ways into people's accounts. We'll talk about some smart things you can do with your tax refund. All sorts of other stuff to get to as well, and if you need something, you can find all of our contact info online at rockmornings.com. You can listen to the show live as well on the website, daily podcast, and a chance to win prizes, including date night, which we'll do tomorrow. That is freebies from the Bloomer Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm. Pizza and beers.
Check it out online at rockmornings.com. We got some Shinedown in just a bit, along with some AC/DC.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
In the least shocking news of all time, Fyre Fest Part 2 has been postponed indefinitely.
Fire 2 is real. My dream is finally becoming a reality.
Get out of here.
Fire 2 really isn't about the past, and it's not really about me. It's about taking the vision, which is strong. What makes Fire so cool is that we are selling the experience of Fire. I want to be one of the first festivals that can sell out with no artists. It's 2,000 people taking the risk, seeking the adventure, and wanting to be there for the moment.
Taking the risk. Is it a risk to buy a ticket to Fyre Festival too?
I think it's always a risk. You're taking a risk because I made a lot of bad decisions and messed up the first festival. Until it's experienced, there is a risk component to it.
I
can't believe that people bought tickets. Is that what
I don't know how many people did. It wasn't a lot as far as I know, but maybe they didn't watch the documentaries. Maybe they had no clue. But I don't know how the hell you buy tickets for a music festival without any artists announced. Now, if you have an established festival like Rockfest, and it's like your yearly vacation,
and you
right? And you know they're going to have 90 bands, and you can kind of guess what it's going to be like, then okay, I can see that. Because that happens when people have to re-up their VIP tickets every year, right? They go down the hill and they buy their VIPs, and without knowing what the next year's lineup's going to be. But you do know after 30 years or whatever it's been, 25 years of Rockfest, you know, okay, we're going to get a huge music festival and we're going to have a good time.
Well, you can also rest assured that you know where it is and that the people know what they're doing, and you've been to the campgrounds and you've seen the facilities and you understand that they can put it on and there's food and water and ice and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you understand what everything is and as opposed to, I don't know, we'll have it somewhere and it'll be a thing.
Billy McFarland, the kid there that we heard earlier in the clip, is the one who got thrown in federal prison the first time around for 4 years when he basically stole from people and oversold and oversold and underdelivered in Fyre Fest 1. This one, the second one, apparently there was, the stories I was reading was that all these cities were like, he was announcing that it was happening in these cities, and the cities are like, we never had any conversations with anybody about any of this stuff. Yeah, so email that went out to ticket holders yesterday, and apparently there were people that did buy tickets, said that the festival had been postponed and a new date will be announced. In the meantime, ticket holders will apparently be issued refunds. Once the new date is announced, at that time you can repurchase if it works for your schedule.
Well, it was supposed to take place at the end of May 30th to June 2nd in Mexico. with ticket prices, by the way, starting at $1,400.
Yeah, they had a millionaires package as well. That's what he was really trying to do, was he was trying to sell a millionaires package so that he could figure out how he was going to pay for all this stuff, right? That's called get an investor, dude, before you start selling tickets. Get someone that...
I don't know, dude. You went to federal prison for, stealing and, illegal activities. Maybe get a job.
Obviously did not learn his lesson.
Just get a job.
Did not learn his lesson. Juneau County, Wisconsin, the man wanted for child abduction and enticement in Dodge County has been extradited to Wisconsin. Prosecutor's office in Sarpy County, Nebraska, confirmed that Gary Day was sent back to Wisconsin yesterday, booked into the Dodge County Detention Center at about 5:15 last night. 40-year-old arrested in Nebraska earlier this month at a truck stop near Omaha. He was with a pregnant 17-year-old from Beaver Dam at the time of his arrest, Sophia Franklin, her name. He is accused of taking the teen from her home after they met online. Authorities say that he is the father of her unborn child. Day faces charges in Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Arkansas, where he is originally from. He is being held without bond right now after being extradited back to Wisconsin. Zoom went down yesterday. Did that affect you guys? It was down for a few hours, nationwide, worldwide?
I did not have any meetings on it.
Okay. Suffering a major outage yesterday afternoon. My wife came home from work and was telling me all about it. She said that people...
trying to talk to people, and
she had a Zoom meeting, and apparently the jail called over and said, yeah, the Zoom's not working, and then she went online and found out it wasn't just Zoom, it was apparently Spotify as well. Maybe hackers, not quite sure, but Zoom went down yesterday. Remote workers, of course, celebrating. Snow day for adults, right? You couldn't even log into their website. An error page would pop up if you went to Zoom's website that said, quote, this site can't be reached. Users panicking, flocking to social media to see if it was just them or if everybody was having issues. And then, of course, the memes started coming around. The first one was the clip of Oprah yelling, you get a vacation, you get a vacation. Sure. One person called it Corporate American Snow Day. Another joke that no one on their team could get in. It was the most productive Zoom meeting ever. It happened at about 2:40 Eastern time, got fixed at about 4:15, so just about 2 hours. Zoom sent out a tweet at about 5 o'clock saying that the service had been restored. Still not sure why it was crashing. Also, Spotify went down yesterday afternoon. Thousands of people couldn't access their music for about 5 hours. They say that it started at about 6:30 yesterday Eastern time, and they were back up by about noon Eastern time. No immediate word on what happened with Spotify either. But yeah, Zoom and Spotify going down yesterday. Different times of the day, but maybe hacking. Maybe. There's a new Brett Favre documentary. I know you love Brett Favre. Brett Favre.
What about Brett Favre?
I did when he played for the Green Bay Packers, when he cried and said he was leaving and we were done and it was over.
And then he went to the Jets, and then he went to the Vikings.
Then he sent a picture of his penis, and then he stole money from college. And
what did he say when he sent it? I'm feeling a bit naughty or something like that.
So he did. Why? What's he doing?
Well, there's a new documentary coming out that's not going to paint him in a positive light. This is called The Fall of Favre. A 1-hour episode will look into his controversy surrounding Jen Sturger, the former Jets sideline reporter that he's accused of sending his penis to while he was in New York for one season. Plus, it'll go into his involvement in the Mississippi welfare case, which he has denied any wrongdoing. Favre denying interview requests for the documentary. It debuts on Netflix May 20th as part of their Untold series. So, yeah, a new episode of Untold featuring Brett Favre called The Fall of Favre on May 20th.
Yeah, and I do feel bad. I mean, obviously his serious Parkinson's disease.
Oh, he's, yeah.
You know.
That doesn't change the fact that the guy stole from poor people.
Oh,
allegedly.
Or that he left crying and said that he was going to hang it up and broke my heart and then went and played for other teams. And
accidental gas line break yesterday, leading to a brief evacuation of Onalaska Middle School. The district said the gas line was struck inadvertently during construction happening at the middle school. Xcel Energy and the fire department in Onalaska inspecting the building after students were taken out, getting it cleared out. The gas was turned off inside the school for the rest of the day. Students were allowed to return to class. Disruption led to the school to cancel hot lunch for the day, and pizza was ordered for all the OMS students. I'm sure they weren't too upset about all that.
Thank you.
Not school pizza, like outside school pizza. Yeah. No charge, by the way, to their accounts either. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yesterday, last day for class for Onalaska students before spring break. They'll resume on Tuesday of next week. And in Trempealeau, an in-home daycare worker is now accused of child abuse. Complaint shows that 40-year-old Ashley Hovey of Oliva, Wisconsin, charged with physically abusing a child, intentionally causing great bodily harm. The words brain bleed in the story. Not good. A deputy informed that Mayo Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, had contacted the Trempealeau County Sheriff's Department to gather information about a 1-year-old child who had been brought to their facility via helicopter with a brain bleed. According to the criminal complaint, April 8th, authorities responding to a home on North Main Street in the village of Oliva to follow up on an emergency medical services call at the home earlier in the day. The deputy was informed the child suffered the injury at an in-home daycare operated by Ashley Hovey, or Hove, in the village of Oliva. She told the deputy that she provided daycare services for 2 minor children in addition to her own 2 minor children. Also told the deputy she did not know the last name of the children in her care and didn't know the last name of the children's parents either. So she's either lying or making things up or just doesn't know people's names and they're just dropping off their kids. That's sketch. She told the deputy that the 1-year-old victim and the victim's sibling and her 2 children were playing in the playroom of the home. Said she left the children unattended for 5 to 10 minutes to use the bathroom. That's when she returned to the playroom. She saw the victim lying on the floor, told the deputy that when she picked up the victim, they went limp and she could feel a bump on the back of the victim's head. She told the deputy that she believed the victim was walking in his socks and then slipped and fell. The victim's mother said that she recently saw unusual bruising on the victim when the child returned home from daycare, as well as the victim's sibling. The mother said her kids had been in her care, Hove's care, since August of 2024.
And she doesn't know their name?
Last name, at least.
Ugh.
Allegedly.
That's gross. Awful.
Yeah. So now she's in some serious trouble out there in Oliva.
By the way, some of these storms that move in tonight you were talking about later this afternoon and tonight, some of them could have strong winds and maybe even some hail. A chance of large hail. That's a thing. Showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon into the evening, continuing on the overnight, wrapping up sometime before tomorrow morning. And then, as you mentioned, some filtered sunshine, but kind of a cold weekend.
Rockmornings.com is the website. Head there for all of our contact info to get in touch with us. We've got Office Core coming up just after 8 o'clock. It's Hypothetical Thursday. Lots of other stuff to get to, including some AC/DC, which will be up after Shinedown.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
AC/DC, who just rocked the U.S. Bank in Minneapolis a week ago, and pretty much everybody I know and their grandmother was at the show.
Except me.
And me. But yeah, I saw a lot of my friends at that show, and they all said it was awesome. Spectacular. AC/DC, we salute you. Brew Crew with a big win over the Tigers yesterday.
Yeah.
And a ground ball towards the middle. Ortiz has it. He will go to the bag. Throw to first. 2, double play. Ball game over. Trevor McGill gets it done and notches the series victory against the Detroit Tigers, and a gem by Ortiz to finish it off.
This was a great series win right here, Jeff, especially how they lost the series to the Diamondbacks and then having to face Tarek Skubal game 1. They come back and win the series, winning these last 2 games. 3 home runs by the Brew Crew, including Rhys Hoskins going back-to-back games, and what a start from Jose Quintana.
Yelich, Hoskins, and Frelick all hit home runs yesterday, and the Brewers beat the Tigers 5-1. They take 2 out of 3 from Detroit. Brew Crew off today, and then they'll be at home against the A's tomorrow night at 7:10. First of 3 against Oakland.
That would have been a hell of a game to be at.
While one of the what's that?
With the home runs and stuff?
One of the reasons to be at that game was the military honor that they did at the beginning. Yeah, they honored to have Edward Miklovich, I think is how you pronounce his name, their special guest, 105 years old, the second oldest survivor of the Pearl Harbor attack, and served in World War II. Throughout the first pitch, they interviewed him in the middle of the game, and it was a pretty emotional thing. He obviously very hard to hear him at the time when they were doing the interview, but it was cool to see how happy he was. He threw out the first pitch. Sal Frelick went over to him and he said, quote, "There's very few superheroes in the world, and he's one of them. I credited him with the home run. As soon as I came back to the dugout, I said, I shook his hand. He's from the greatest generation ever, and I'm super honored to be in the presence of such a legend." So, yeah, a very special guest to the Brewers yesterday. And Sal Frelick paying homage to him as he, hit that home run. Yeah, pretty emotional day for the Brewers. Obviously getting the win, but having that legend in the ballpark with them. NBA play-in games continuing last night. The Miami Heat over the Bulls, 109-90.
Eric Spoelstra's team held the Bulls to a season low, 90 points. And now we'll play the Hawks Friday night for a chance to get into the NBA playoffs.
The Heat knocking the Bulls out of the play-in for the third year in a row. They will play at Atlanta on Friday for their chance to meet top-seeded Cleveland in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Hawks lost to Orlando on Tuesday. And in the late game last night, the Dallas Mavericks beat the Sacramento Kings 120-106.
This was an excellent showing.
Talked about the defensive impact of Anthony Davis. He certainly showed that tonight, and their entire team came with great focus, physicality, and effort to clamp down on a very good offensive team in the Sacramento Kings.
Dallas advancing to play Memphis on Friday night for a chance to get into the playoffs as the 8th seed in the West. The winner of that game will open up the playoffs on Sunday at top-seeded Oklahoma City. Obviously, no games tonight, but again, Miami at Orlando on Friday at 6 p.m. on TNT, and Dallas at Memphis Friday night at 8:30 on ESPN. Badgers. Not good. Not good news for the Badgers. As a projected starting tackle is now going to miss the entire upcoming season after tearing his ACL in spring practice. Kevin Haywood, the Badgers' projected starter at left tackle, hurt his knee in practice on Thursday of last week. Wisconsin head coach Luke Fickell revealing the severity of the injury earlier this week, and it looks like he's going to be out for the entire season with that ACL tear. That's not good. No bueno. Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Got a text from somebody who wants to hear some bad omens. Says, good morning, Brian, and what's her nuts?
What's her nuts?
That's what they texted. You can read it for yourself. I did not put that in. I did not take liberties with that. Good morning, Brian, and what's her nuts? Can I hear some bad omens this morning?
Well, for sure. Let's get that on right away. I mean, absolutely.
Courtesy of what's her nuts.
Yeah, probably next, guessing is.
We'll skip the commercials. We're not even going to pay our bills by playing commercials. We're just going to play this bad omens for what's his nuts.
I don't care. They don't know my name, but what's her nuts?
Would you, I know we're going to play Hypothetical Thursday later on, but would you rather they misspell your name or call you what's her nuts? Because misspelling your name happens all the time.
It does.
It's delightful when it happens.
I guess I don't care about that. I don't know that I care about either one, but you could care very little less than to say what's her nuts. You could just go with Brian. You know what I mean? Hey, Brian, can you play bad omens?
We'll see about your bad omens. Maybe if you apologize and
it's fine.
Say something nice about Gene.
You're fine. It's good.
All right. You be okay?
I'm fine.
You want Pop-Tart?
Yeah.
So do I, actually.
Cherry?
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Today's the day that you got to give out all the high fives you can.
High five!
Because it's National High Five Day.
High five. Give him a high five. High five.
It's National High Five Day. High five!
If you really want to get crazy, go for the double high five.
High five!
Happy National High Five Day.
Don't leave me hanging.
Boom. Mic drop.
Let's go!
National High Five Day, Gene. What's her nuts? I said, I responded to this texter who wanted bad omens this morning, and I said, what's her nuts? Ouch. This person said, sorry, couldn't remember how to spell her name and didn't want to embarrass myself. I responded and said, Jean, Jean, it's pretty common. This person responded and said, I'm a nurse, and you see so many ways to spell Jean, LOL.
Yeah, for sure you do. I get
well,
it.
now you know. It's Jean. It's the very common, normal,
like blue jeans,
long-standing way to spell Jean for a girl.
As opposed to genes, your DNA gene.
Which is usually how you spell it for a guy. Gene.
Yes.
But these days, who the F knows? You could spell names with W's and Q's and all sorts of crazy letters.
So Urban Dictionary says that what's her nuts is a reference to a girl who you have had a relationship with but don't really care about.
I got a lot of those.
Thanks.
Well, yeah, because you banged her, but you don't remember her name.
She was what's her nuts from last night.
Yeah, that was that what's her nuts from a couple of months ago. You know that girl. And you're relying on your buddy to remind you what her name is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you
Remember
know what's her nuts.
Remember that?
I don't know. What's her nuts isn't so bad. Today is National High Five Day. It's also National Cheese Ball Day, and I think that's the cheese dip ball, not the cheese balls.
Oh.
Like the
Yeah, the nut covered.
It's got nuts
holiday.
On it. Yeah. National Crawfish Day. You ever done a crawfish boil? Like a legit one on the table with the big pot and the corn and the. Oof, you're missing out. You ever had crawfish?
Yes.
Like in the shell, the whole 9 yards. Like
I have.
Louisiana style. It's National Haiku Day. What is that? 535, right? 535. And then also, and I've never done one of these, but I would like to try it. International Pizza Cake Day.
Pizza cake?
So you basically take 4 or 5 frozen pizzas and you stack them.
Now I know what you're talking about.
And then you're supposed to
layer them.
Yeah, and then you're supposed to wrap them in dough, I think, so that it looks like a cake. International Pizza Cake Day. I thought for sure you might have tried that with your kids. You never tried it? It looks delightful.
Oh, I see. You take a Pillsbury. Basically, you take
the crescent roll?
And you roll that out and roll it around.
Okay. So it's a bunch of pizzas inside of a dough.
It's Canadian, sir. It's Canadian, man.
Do you cook the pizzas first and then put the dough on and put it back in to cook the dough
It's a multiple layer pizza baked in a pot or a cake pan. First invented by Boston Pizzas.
All right. I need an international cake pizza.
Viral phenomenon when Pillsbury Company posted an example, apparently.
I could use one of those right now. Let's get breakfast. You want breakfast?
We haven't done that in a long time.
I'm hungry. First season finale of Matlock tonight on CBS. It's Kathy Bates.
All right.
A lot of acclaim for her as Matlock. 5th season premiere of Law & Order Organized Crime on NBC. Also the 3rd season premiere of Leverage Redemption on Amazon. Series finale of Bosch Legacy on Amazon today. Also the 3rd season finale of The Wheel of Time. New episodes of 911, Law & Order, Dr. Odyssey, and Grey's Anatomy tonight. John Bernthal, a.k.a. The Punisher from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's going to be on with Jimmy Kimmel tonight, along with Japanese Breakfast. Joe Manganiello and Senator Raphael Warnock going to be on with Stephen Colbert. Fallon and Steph Myers are in repeats this week. I watched the Brewer game in the afternoon while I was doing some work on the computer. Got home from going and getting my Easter ham, and then watched the Brewer game. And then I've been rewatching for some reason, just because my mind can't hold on to things anymore. But I've been re-binging all of the Mission Impossible films because the new one's coming out in May.
Well, the first one came out a long time ago.
Yeah, it was in 96, I believe.
Yeah, well, how are you supposed to remember what happened?
Well, it's really the last few movies that are tied to the final one, which is coming out in May. But I'm just sort of, again, it's mostly on in the background as opposed to actually really paying attention.
So has he looked any different since 1996?
Yeah,
Tom Cruise, right?
Look, he looks a little older. It's not, but it's like Keanu Reeves. He's not.
Yeah, it doesn't really age.
Yeah, he's drinking virgin blood or whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, he obviously stays fit and takes care of himself and probably has a lot of people that are around him that,
help with that?
I don't think he's biohacking like that weirdo who's.
How do you know?
But you can tell he looks older, but,
But not significantly from 96
But he might be
to
one of
now.
those people that's just blessed to kind of look the same his entire life.
Sure, in a cryo tank.
He probably has one of those. He probably spends several hours a day. When he flies, he's got one on his plane, on his G6. Rock mornings with Brian and Gene. Cloudy today, some rain moving in this afternoon and continuing during the overnight. Might be severe at times with hail possible.
Strong winds, possibility of hail. It will last on and off throughout the evening, ends tomorrow, and then kind of some, clouds and filtered sun, they say, but colder this weekend than we were hoping for Easter weekend.
Got a request from the nurse who called Jean What's-Her-Nuts.
She didn't know how to spell my name, I guess.
Wanted some bad omens, so here you go.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
That is Rockfest music from Bad Omens. Yes, they are headlining Rockfest this summer.
Isn't everybody?
Yeah, kind of. Feels that way. That is for the nurse who called Jean What's-Her-Nuts.
Do we have a name for nurse?
No, she did not, or he did not give us a name. I do have a phone number. I could just drop that on the radio. And,
share that with us. Let us know your name.
yeah, we want to know the name.
And where you're working. That's nice.
So we can spell your name correctly instead of calling you What's or Nuts, that nurse from the other day.
Man, I was at a scholarship banquet last night, and there was scholarships specific for nursing, and it was so great to see people, that were going into the occupation and were dedicated. And
need them. Real bad.
Very much so need them. So it was lots of loud clapping.
You got an extension on your taxes? How much more time did you get?
I don't even know.
Is that something your tax guy files for and then just says, look, I can't get it done?
Yeah, well, and that was mostly because we got all the information to them late.
Right.
We gathered everything, and they looked at us when we walked in and said, yeah, you're going to need an extension on this.
We were waiting on one slice of paper, and we got it in and before the deadline and all that stuff. But taxes, refunds starting to make their way into people's accounts. Here are some smart things to do with your tax return. We're going to use most of our money to pay for that stupid hotel in Nashville because it's going to be expensive. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. But
oh, yeah, memories and all of that.
Cheap.
But this is smart stuff to do with it?
Yeah. Number one, obviously, pay off debt, credit card, something like that. The average APR right now, 20%. So flip that on its head and think of it like this. If you pay off now instead of a year from now, it's like making 20%, a 20% risk-free return on your investment.
Yes.
So, yeah. Credit cards, pay off a credit card or some debt if you've got it. Start an emergency fund. The economy right now, kind of iffy. So it's a good time to maybe put some money away. Ideally, you're supposed to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses set aside.
And I know almost no one who has that, including us.
Maybe even a year's worth if you're self-employed. But anything is better than nothing. You could also invest it. Stock prices up, down, all around, all the places. But it might be a good time to let your money make money. Maybe talk to an expert about that. You want to invest in stuff like crypto or something along those lines. And then another smart thing you can do with your money if you're getting a tax refund is to buy something that might cost more later. So if those eggs are cheap right now, I think they're only $4.99. Before they go back to $8.
I think we're getting a computer, a laptop for the college or high school graduate, I should say, before perhaps computers cost more. Isn't that the thing? They might.
Yeah, well, if money's not too tight right now, think about spending your refund on something you might go up in price sometime soon. A lot of the tariff stuff hasn't filtered down yet, so a new washing machine or a new car might cost more in a few months. So if you've got enough with that tax refund or you can swing it, then maybe now's the time to buy it. But there you go, some things to do with your refund if you've got one. Kelly actually just texted in and said, what is a tax refund? LOL.
Totally.
Dinks, baby. Double income, no kids. That's the way to go. We got a name for the nurse. It's Hunter. And Hunter apparently works at Gunderson.
Thanks, Hunter.
Amplify.
Have a great day.
Is that what they're calling it now? It's Amplify, right?
I believe so.
Is anybody going to ever switch that? Okay. I'm not.
Yeah. There was a scholarship last night from Amplify and Mayo for someone going into nursing, as a matter of fact, like Hunter.
Rockmornings.com for all of our contact info. We got 7 Mary 3 in just a couple of minutes. If you need something, let us know what you want to hear.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Did you see the bookstore?
No.
Oh, man, I thought you would have seen this. This is right up your alley.
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought for sure you would have seen this one.
Is it full of cats that need homes or something?
No. This is near Ann Arbor, Michigan. And there is a local bookstore, mom and pop place.
Love that.
And apparently they have to move. They're changing locations.
Building that they're in, they need to get out of or something?
They're moving essentially right around the corner. But anybody who's ever moved books knows it's a real mother effer. They're heavy.
Not light.
There's a billion of them. They're dusty, right? They've been there forever. So a bunch of people in town that love the bookstore came down and created like a human chain around the corner. And they just handed the books off one at a time. Like hundreds of people.
No.
To move all the books from the one
really?
spot to the next spot. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
People really consider independent bookstores There was a 91-year-old woman, there was somebody with their 6-year-old child, and we figured if we just did it book by book, everybody could be involved. People started clapping and cheering and singing, and it was just overwhelming.
Serendipity Books in Chelsea, Michigan, along with the owner, needed to move into a bigger location around the corner from their old one. So more than 300 people lined up on the sidewalk and moved one book at a time like a human conveyor belt. Yeah.
Like this.
And there's video of it, obviously.
Yes.
You can see it. They moved over 9,000 books in 2 hours and kept them all in alphabetical order. It wasn't just like book. I mean, like they paid attention. Because obviously, yeah, you can put all the books in there, but then what? Then the person who owns the store has got to go in there and be like, oh, crap.
Well, if you can plan them being moved, right? You're doing this shelf, and we're going to put them back in this shelf, and we're going to take this shelf and put them back in this shelf.
The owner of the store, who you heard there, said she would have had to close for several days.
I'm sure.
If she would have had to move the normal way by herself and then to reorganize and all that stuff. But thanks to the help of the community.
The video.
Right?
How neat.
9,100 books, hundreds of boxes, didn't close the business for days, was able to get some help from some of the people in the community, several hundred people showing up. She said people really consider independent bookstores theirs. It's really part of the community, and they have ownership.
Wow, it's way down the block. It's not just around the corner. It's way down the block. That is neat.
It was just a joyful experience, said one of the volunteers. We were passing the books and noticing and commenting to each one, oh, have you read this one? I really enjoyed this one. Bunch of book dorks in Michigan, moving books one at a time.
Yeah, 91-year-old woman, 6-year-old child, everybody's involved.
Pretty cool story.
Into a bigger store, too, which is great. A bigger storefront, twice the size as the other one. So they're doing well, I guess.
2-year-old boy in Arizona went missing. Dozens of people searching for him. But it was Buford who found him.
Who's Buford?
Buford's just a dog.
A bloodhound or something?
Not even his dog, not a bloodhound, just some old dog named Buford. You got to see a picture of Buford. He's great. 2-year-old boy in Arizona went missing on Monday night. No one knew where he was for 16 hours. More than 40 search and rescue people were out looking for him.
Panic-inducing.
But he ended up being found by a dog named Buford. This is near Seligman, Arizona, about 100 miles south of the Grand Canyon. The kid somehow walked 7 miles through a remote area full of mountain lions and coyotes.
7 miles?
Yeah. But apparently going to be okay. A rancher named Scotty Dunton was climbing into his truck to go run errands on Tuesday morning, the following morning, 16 hours later, when he saw his dog Buford walking around with the kid. The boy said he was sleeping under a tree when Buford showed up and let him back into town.
Follow me, son.
Gotta see a picture of Buford. Have you seen it?
No.
Go ahead and give it a Google. It's great.
It's in their blood, they're guardians and stuff. Way there, I see Buford coming down the deal right there with a little blonde-haired boy with him.
He was young and ended up wandering further than anyone would have hoped. Not only did we search on foot, but also there were some of the razors and 4x4s, as well as we did make use of some of the helicopters to make sure that we were doing everything we could to locate the child.
There was 1,000 ways for that to go really, really bad and one good way, and luckily it turned out to be the good way.
He's a 6-year-old Pyrenees, so he's big.
Big dog, big furry dog, fluffy, friendly. Yep, I'm sure just kind of meandering around. Got a whiff of this kid out in the woods.
I can't believe a 2-year-old walks 7 miles. That is so far with little feet. So far.
I got in my truck to go to town, and I see Buford walking down the side of the fence with a little blonde kid with him. I had heard about the missing child this morning, so I knew it was him. Yeah, Buford in Anatolian Pyrenees, normally patrolling the land, warding off coyotes.
He's got a job, takes it seriously.
Probably got a whiff of this kid right away, knew something was going on, followed it right to the kid. Said, hey, dude, this way.
Guy said he was crying and disoriented, and he said, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. Got him inside, got him some water and some food. And by the way, Buford got a 2-pound steak.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, he did. He got a ribeye.
The beef farmer said the boy was in good shape but very upset. The rancher, tracing the boy's steps, found the dog had escorted him for at least a mile. So this kid walked 7 miles away from his own house And then a mile to get to this rancher's house. This kid's just walking around.
You know how far? It's so hard for kids when they're little like that.
And you're talking about Arizona by the Grand Canyon here. We're not talking about our neighborhood, paved streets and neighbors and houses. It's probably very sparse out there. But Buford to the rescue. Good old Buford.
Lots of steaks.
Oh, yeah. Steaks for weeks. Sure Buford didn't mind. You're like, hey, kid, if you want to go for another walk, this steak thing's working out for me. Hypothetical Thursday. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
It is Hypothetical Thursday, asking each other hypothetical questions. We'll get Office Cora in on the fun after 8 o'clock, and I will go first this week. Ready?
No. But that doesn't matter.
Why are you always so nervous?
I'm not nervous. You just asked me if I'm ready, and the answer is no.
Why are you not ready? I mean, we've been doing this for a month and a half now. What is it about it
I'm never going to be ready for this. Just, you might as well, the answer is always going to be no. I'm never going to be like, hell yeah, I'm ready.
All right. If you could only watch one for the rest of your entire life, would it be movies or TV shows? Now, if you choose TV shows, you can't watch any movies. If you choose movies, you can't watch any TV shows. And that's forward and in reverse. You can watch any movie that has ever been released, and you get to watch any movie that's ever going to come out, but you never get to go back and rewatch Yellow Jackets or Yellowstone or Seinfeld or Office or Friends or whatever. You only get one rest of your life. Movies or TV shows?
My gut instinct says movies, right? Because then you're part of the big releases. You get to go back and watch all the classics that you remember and made you who you are. I'm just thinking about my actual consumption, though, and I feel like on a week-to-week basis, I'm more apt to watch actual shows. Like, we went on this trip to Nashville, and I had downloaded Adolescence. I watched that. I also watched that Twister movie. But, this past week, Grey's Anatomy, I'm still watching that. Ted Lasso. I consume more of shows, but I'm still going to go with movies, I think. Because there's that movie theater, there's that gathering of people, come, let's watch the new this. It can be a get-together kind of a event more than a TV show as an event, Well, and as we've seen, movies can also be series, much like a television show. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got the MCU, which is forever expanding. You've got all the James Bond movies. You've got all the Star Wars films. You've got all the other Jason movies, everything else that's out there that's a series, similar, I guess, in a way to a television program. But you're going movies, huh? Probably, just because, like I said, you can make it's more of an event. It's releases. But it's hard because, would a comedy release be a show or a movie then?
What do you mean comedy release?
Like a new Netflix special from a stand-up comedian.
Well, I think we all know the difference between a TV show and a movie.
And that falls in neither one of them, does it? TV show? Movie?
Well, let's put it this way, right? So we just watched the Long Island serial killer docu-series on Netflix.
TV show.
3 episodes. So that's a TV show. But the Twister one, which was about it was Joplin, Missouri, right?
That was a movie.
That was a documentary film. So, yes, it would be considered a film, a movie. Now, I don't know necessarily where you would put like a Dave Chappelle stand-up special or a Bill Burr stand-up special.
Right.
Because that's a one-off, but there is a series of them. So, it's not
Is that a movie or is that a TV show?
Hard to say.
I'm going with movie because I'm putting those in there, too.
Keeping those. While it would pain me to great lengths to have to never be able to watch an episode of Seinfeld again because I love that show.
Or any of the shows that you love.
Seinfeld would be the one I would miss the most. I mean, I can, look, I like a lot of shows, but if I could never watch Seinfeld
Bar
again.
Rescue and the restaurant and
I can do it all. It's all the same. All those episodes are the same. None of them are any different. There's nothing new coming out of it. There's nothing exciting. It's
but
just
he yells at people.
that
Oh man, but the home improvement shows. Crap, I forgot about HGTV. I do love those in a
pimple poppers. Are you into the pimple poppers or any of those things?
But, and I don't even have it at home. But when traveling, my very favorite thing is to get in a hotel room bed and turn on the HGTV and watch other people, house hunters,
fixing their homes,
home improvement shows.
Flip this house. Yeah.
Damn.
I'm
still probably going to go with movies, but
thankfully Seinfeld's been around now for over 30 years. So I've binged it several times from front to back, and I watched all the reruns for years when they were on TNT and TBS. So, yeah, I would never be able to watch them again, but that would probably be the only show that I would really miss. So movies would be tougher for me to give up. So I would go with movies.
All right.
If you had to choose one, you would go movies, I would go movies.
And I consume far less than you do.
Yeah.
Like TV and movie watching is very few hours a week.
Well, it was my babysitter growing up.
At all.
So, yeah, that's not surprising.
Can be nights many.
I don't know. I couldn't go a day without turning the TV on and watching it.
What?
I mean, if I'm camping or something, like out in the woods, but I'm never doing that.
Not a day?
I couldn't tell you the last time I didn't watch TV, at least a little bit.
Really? Every day? I certainly do not do that.
Well,
no way.
Here's because during the week,
yesterday.
I go home early. I get out of here because I don't like being in the building, and so I go home. But I do work at home, right?
I know you do.
And when I'm on my computer at home, I have the TV on just because I like to have it on. Because I find that if I'm, and I put on these movies that I don't need to pay attention to because I've seen them a million times.
So they're just background noise to keep you company?
Yeah. Like once I get done listening to my sports talk show that I enjoy, which is at 1 o'clock, then I turn the TV on and I have something in the background.
Is the TV on from 1 o'clock until you go to bed?
Probably, most days. Unless I'm if I'm going to work on the lawn or go somewhere and do stuff.
Run errands.
But if my plan is to go home and work on the computer and do laundry and cook dinner and whatever.
It'll be on from 1 until you go to bed?
Yeah. Wow. Why wouldn't it be? What else am I going to do? I don't think that's that strange. It's been like that my entire life. I've always had the TV on.
There's a lot of people. I can see that in my neighbors' houses. I see that it's on all times of the day.
And that doesn't mean I'm watching it intently. It's just on.
You're walking through.
Well, and sometimes, the TV will, because we stream everything, we have a Fire Stick. It's occasionally you put the Pandora on, so if I don't want to watch anything or have a movie on or whatever, if I'm going to fold laundry or whatever, I'll put on the Pandora. And then when I get done doing stuff around the house and I'm going to sit back down and engross myself in television, then I'll turn it back to a ball game or a movie or whatever.
Oh, sporting events. Do those count as a TV show?
No, those are their own. It's like a taco and a hot dog. They're two. It's a completely different
thing. Like
yes.
A game is a game.
A game is not a movie or a TV show. No,
because otherwise now I have to switch back to TV.
That's a live sporting event.
Okay. All right.
Different that does not qualify as either of the two. Doesn't qualify.
Not a taco.
Now, a movie about a baseball movie, that's...
Well, of course, it's a movie.
A baseball game is a baseball game.
Okay, all right.
Rockmornings.com to get in touch with us if you want to weigh in on our hypothetical questions for each other. Gina will ask hers in just a bit, and we'll get to sports after Bad Flower.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Bad Flower with Detroit on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Brewers getting a nice win over the Tigers yesterday, 5-1. Home runs from Yelich, Hoskins, and Frelick. 2 out of 3 from Detroit off today, and then the Brewers start a 3-game home series against the A's tomorrow night at 7:10.
Now, you were talking about the World War II vet, one of the oldest survivors that threw out the first pitch yesterday, 105 years old.
Yeah, just celebrated his 105th birthday, and he's out there zinging it over the plate.
By the way, from Brookfield, he's a Brookfield resident. He recently celebrated his 105th birthday. By the way, he still walks.
Yeah, he that was one thing that was interesting to him because he was in a wheelchair, and when they got him out of the wheelchair to throw out the first pitch, he was saying how it was tough because he walks so much, and he said that exercise and diet were super important to his long life, and he said, I walk everywhere. I walk all the time, but once I sit down for a while, it's really hard for me to get up and get going. So he's like, if I just stay in constant motion, I'll be all right.
He said he walked 5 miles a day up until he was 102, but now he walks only a mile a day. Only a mile a day, 105.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't seen the video, I hadn't, and I saw it this morning.
Oh.
It's emotional and cool. Very cool.
NBA play-in games continuing last night with the Heat over the Bulls, 109-90. The Heat knocked the Bulls out of the play-in round for the third year in a row, and the Heat will move on to play Atlanta on Friday for a chance to meet top-seeded Cleveland in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Meanwhile, the late game, Dallas Mavericks beating the Sacramento Kings 120-106. Dallas advancing to play at Memphis on Friday night for a chance to get into the playoffs as the 8th seed in the West. The winner of that game will move on to play top-seeded Oklahoma City. No games tonight, but again, Miami at Orlando Friday, 6 p.m. on TNT. Dallas at Memphis tomorrow night at 8:30 on ESPN. Veteran umpire Hunter Wendelstad sent to the hospital last night.
He shoots that one off. Hunter Wendelstedt, and he goes down. Oh, my.
Did it get him in the head?
I think it did. Got him right in the back of the head. We were just talking the other day about how the base coaches wear helmets and that the base umpires should wear them as well. And Hunter Wendelstedt took a direct shot.
Struck in the face by a line drive foul ball. And yeah, maybe a helmet of some sort at some point.
Ouch.
For these umpires that are out there with almost no protection. Wendelstad instantly fell to the ground after he took a direct hit from a line smash off the bat of Mets center fielder Tyrone Taylor in the 7th inning. Both Taylor and Twins right-hander Luis Varlin wincing immediately, seeing where the ball hit Wendelstad, who is in his 28th Major League season as an umpire. He, of course, went to the hospital for further testing, but seems like he'll be okay once he recovers from his injuries. Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman Chris Letang's season is over. The 19-year veteran will miss the finale against Washington tonight after undergoing a procedure to close a small hole in his heart.
How'd he get it?
Letang is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, missing time earlier in his career because of strokes related to the hole in his heart. The team said the expected timeline for him to make a full recovery is 4 to 6 weeks. Pittsburgh eliminated from the postseason earlier this month, so it wasn't like they had anything to play for. But
so he has had it, and it affected his life, and now it's maybe a genetic birth defect.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's had successful surgery on his heart. So, Savannah Bananas,
dude, I just watched that whole 60-minute thing. Did you see that interview with them? It was so good.
Huge crowds, viral baseball moments, but this summer they're getting even bigger because they're going to be on TV. ESPN PR announcing earlier this week that the network will broadcast 10 banana games this summer, giving fans across the country a front row seat to one of the fastest growing shows in sports. The games will air on ESPN, ESPN2, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus between April 26th, which is next week, and August 15th. Check local listings, but yeah, Savannah Banana Games. If you haven't been able to go in person, and a lot of us haven't, but you've heard about it, seen the clips online, you want to watch a whole game, good luck. They're going to be on ESPN, ESPN2, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus.
That was so interesting, just hearing about their start and how and what they did to try to get people interested and all the things that they've, done and how they're playing at like real baseball stadiums and selling them out.
Selling out multiple times. Yeah. It's pretty impressive stuff. Savannah Bananas may be coming to a town near you. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Hypothetical Thursday will continue with Gene's question for me in just a little bit, plus some nothing more on the way.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. That is more Rockfest music that time around. It's nothing more. They're playing on Saturday at Rockfest, July 19th? 17th? Yeah. Right?
Yes.
I think it's them, isn't it?
What, that they're on Saturday, or that those are the dates?
Well, I know the dates. I think they're on.
18, 19.
Okay, yeah, because Bad Omens, 3 Days Grace, Poppy, Sick Puppies, they're on Saturday. I think Nothing More is on Saturday. Don't quote me on that. But rock-fest.com, 98% of campsites sold out at Rockfest.
Yeah,
already.
and if you're coming from our area down here in La Crosse anyway, we do have a bus going to Cadott on Saturday. So you can just ride on that bus and we'll return you. You don't have to worry about driving or parking or anything. And there's no campsite, so you can't barely any anyway.
WiscoTrips.com for all of our bus trips, whether it's Miller Park, Rockfest, Lambeau. had a bunch of people asking me over the last few months about a bus trip to the draft. And we talked about it as soon as it got announced that it was going to be in Green Bay. We started talking about it, the boss man and I, we just couldn't come up with a, like a real scenario where that would work.
Yeah, right. How do you handle that?
Parking's going to be at a premium, rentals and hotels and all that stuff at a premium. So how do you take a bunch of people on a bus and go there, especially for something that's like an all-day event, but the draft doesn't start till 7 o'clock at night, and then you get on a bus at 11 and try to come back across the state? It's
yeah. Smallest market in the football league, hosting one of the biggest events.
Hypothetical Thursday. Earlier, I asked Jean if she could only choose one for the rest of her life. Would it be movies or TV shows? And she went with movies. I agree. I concur. Movies would be where I would stay. Jean's question for me. What do you got?
This will be fun for you. This will spark your inner child.
Ooh.
And you might need to get some music ready.
Okay.
If you were a transformer, what vehicle would you turn into?
Well.
Oh, boy. You can't be. Are you going to be Optimus? I mean, are you
know that they don't all transform into vehicles, right?
Yeah. No.
That some of them.
Well, you mean airplanes?
Well,
that's a vehicle, isn't it? Some of them become a little jet or something.
Perfect example. Megatron, who is the leader of the Decepticons, does not transform, at least in the G1 series, does not transform into a vehicle. He transforms into a gun. And that was what made him super cool. Because as a kid, you had a gun that also turned into a badass robot that had a gun on his arm.
How did the gun get around?
Well,
when he transferred into a gun.
The Decepticons could fly. So he could just fly.
Flying gun.
He didn't have to turn into a jet to fly. He just could fly. Look, it was 80s cartoons. Right. They didn't have to explain a lot to us, all right? The good guys couldn't fly. That's why they had to drive. The bad guys could fly.
All right.
Starscream turned into a jet. So did a bunch of other Transformers.
I've seen the
Here's another one. Soundwave, who was my favorite of the Transformers.
Wasn't he a boombox?
He turned into a boombox, not a car or other vehicle. So if he wanted to go somewhere, he had to be carried around by somebody else. But he had tapes, and he could open up his chest. I would go Soundwave just because it was the coolest Transformer of them all. It was my all-time favorite. It was so badass. He had a bunch of different tapes. The tapes would come out. It looked like a cassette tape, and then it would turn into a wolf or a bat or something like that. It was awesome. And he had the coolest voice out of all the Decepticons. Soundwave would be my hands down. If I had to be if I could be a Transformer, it would be Soundwave.
All right.
Now, if to your question, to your point,
if you could just be the vehicle, would you be like a tank or a motorcycle or a race car or he's a semi, right?
Yeah, Optimus is a semi truck.
How about Bumblebee? He's like a race car.
He was he was a Volkswagen Bug in the original.
Oh, well, he was a race car in there,
yeah, well, they updated. They didn't do it they didn't do it justice. Trying to think. Jazz was like a Lamborghini or something. He was
like a fancy car, expensive car. Did he be that?
I'd probably be. Trying to think here.
You'd be Soundwave. You could just be Soundwave. That's fine. You could just be that.
Soundwave,
hypothetical.
Soundwave was cool. For me, that was my personal favorite. If I had to be it, if your question at its root is what Transformer would you be, then I would be Soundwave. But if I had to pick which vehicle, can I be multiple? Here's the problem.
Oh, no.
There were Constructicons, which were construction vehicles. Like, there was a dump truck, there was like a backhoe, there was an excavator, and they were all really cool. And they transformed into their robot form and then back into their vehicle form. But then, when stuff was getting crazy wild...
Like a concrete mixer?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
They would form Devastator. So there'd be 5 of them, and they would come together like Voltron with the lions, and they would form one giant robot. No?
So you want a partner up with other vehicles to be a bigger vehicle? Is that what you're saying?
Hell yeah. Devastator was badass, man. I'm going Soundwave. I'm going to stick with Soundwave.
Okay. All right.
Again, not a vehicle, but was the coolest of all the Transformers in my opinion.
Was there any boats?
Eventually, there were boats. Yeah, I mean, there's so many.
Like a.
There wasn't one in the original series. I mean, like if you're talking the G1 Transformers from the mid '80s, the original cartoons, there wasn't boats. There wasn't like.
Oh, was there like a 30-foot pontoon with like a party deck?
No, there was not a party deck pontoon. There wasn't a Road King or a Street Glide or any of that stuff.
Oh,
no,
man.
No, it was all basically cars and trucks, and then the Decepticons turned into
some lights
mostly
around the top,
mostly the Decepticons turned into jets
on the lake at night, and you've got the lights around the top of the canopy thing, and he's none of that.
Well, and there was only so many in the first series. There was only I don't know. The Autobots maybe had about 10 or 12. Total guys, and so did the Decepticons, right? Because as a kid, you just can't remember all of them. And then
boats that sit at the marina where they have that sleeping area down underneath where you can go underneath and like spend the weekend.
Cubby cabin,
yeah. None of those.
No, not that I remember.
Soundwave, fine.
Soundwave,
all right,
badass. I actually have. I got it for a present one year. It's a Soundwave transformer that actually plays MP3s. So like you can transform it. It's white in color instead of the bluish purple that he was in the series. And you can transform him, and he's got speakers and electronics built into him, and you've got an SD card. And you can put the SD card in with the music in, and it'll play tunes for you.
Are you selling that with your
No. That's still that one's going to stay with me.
Okay.
Jim wants to know which one was the semi. That was Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Steve says, in the dark of the moon, Transformers 3, Soundwave is a total badass. With this like snake thing that he controlled, yeah. So Soundwave in that one was in outer space, and he was connected to like satellites out there in outer space, and then he had this. It was this thing that like, it was metal balls, and they would drop down like a pipe or whatever into like a military base, and then they would form this like robot. When they got inside, they would all go kind of like the Terminator in T2. But yeah, I would go with Soundwave.
Slitherfang.
Who would you be? Do you even know what the hell you're talking about? You want to be a boat. I don't even know if they ever made a boat transformer.
I don't know. That sounds good, doesn't it?
What the hell good is a boat going to do?
I don't know. It doesn't. I didn't think about it as like what good of a transformer I would be. I thought of it more like fun.
Megatron was badass too, because he was a gun. And you can't go wrong with a gun.
Legacy Boater transforms into a tiny speedboat.
All right.
Thing.
Well, that was definitely not G1. Hypothetical Thursday. We'll see what Office Cora has to say when we talk to her after 8 o'clock. What? She's going to oh my God, Brian. Yeah, going to be one of those. Also going to get to bad news, happy music, and the friggin' sports. If you need something, find us online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up.
Chili's on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Espresso martini, yes or no?
I know some people really, really, really love them. We've gotten them as Christmas gifts where you kind of have it's like in a container and you just are supposed to pour the vodka in, and it makes it itself. I love espresso. I love chocolate-covered espresso beans. I also love martinis, but not together. It's not my jam.
Kahlua.
I like Kahlua.
Has teamed up with a chocolatier to create the Kahlua Espresso Martoni. Have you seen this thing?
I have not, but it sounds delicious and chocolatey and desserty is what it sounds like.
It's that and then some. You eat the glass when you're done.
Oh, it's a chocolate martini glass.
Yes. Two brands coming together to create the ultimate adult treat. Vice President of Marketing for Kahlua, a guy named Craig Van Niekerk, said indulgence should be sweet, so we've teamed up with Tony's Chocolonely to stop British people from feeling torn between their two favorite treats. With the Kahlua Espresso Martoni, we're stirring up the best of both worlds so cocktail lovers can enjoy their creamy cocktail and the glass itself. Will you sip or will you bite? Why not both? Limited edition chocolate glass exclusively available at Dirty Martini Bishopgate in London over the bank holiday, which is the 18th to 21st of April. So if you got somebody that lives in England, our buddy Carl, and you really got to get your hands on one of these things, send them to the Dirty Martini Bishopgate in London over their bank holiday weekend.
Man, that sounds super decadent. I don't know. You drink the really sweet drink and then you eat.
It's made from 100% Tony's Chocolonely milk chocolate. No alcohol present in the recipe. The cocktail, however, itself is comprised of Absolute vodka, Kahlua, and espresso. So you got to make your own damn cocktail, but little combo platter there. Try to make one at home, maybe DIY. Also, in returning foods, McDonald's bringing back the snack wraps sometime this year.
Snap. I liked those.
This is on Twitter, the official McDonald's account teasing the return of the discontinued menu item, saying the item would return on OX.14.2025. I don't know what OX is. Is that October? Snack wrap debuting in McDonald's in the U.S. back in 2006 before they discontinued it back in 2016. And it looks like the chicken, lettuce, and shredded cheese covered in ranch or honey mustard stuffed inside of a tortilla is making its way back into McDonald's sometime this year.
Kind of a cult following for those snack wraps. I think the X is mystery. We're not telling you, we're letting it.
Well, it says O, so it's not going to be in October, November, or December.
Yeah.
So what's that X? What's that number? Is it 05? Is it 06? 7, 8, 9? What number is it?
I'm loving it.
McDonald's bringing back the snack wraps sometime this year. And also, did you see the Miller Lite and Pringles? Speaking of combinations.
So it's a beer-flavored potato chip?
A couple different ones, actually. Miller Lite and Pringles teaming up on 2 brand new recipes. Classic warm weather flavors with no grill required. Beer can chicken and grilled beer brat flavored Pringles headed to grocery stores near you. Bringing a taste of, quote, your favorite grilled foods with Miller Lite's hoppy, malty beer aroma.
It's a brat flavored chip. Well, I guess Quick Trip just released the hot dog roller one. So
both products will channel tasting notes of beer. Their flavor profiles will be distinct. The beer can chicken combines the flavor of savory roasted chicken complete with notes of garlic and onion with the authentic flavor of the original light beer. The beer brat flavor has that smoky grilled brat flavor you know and love with the notes of black pepper, caramelized onion, and brown spice. Limited time offering. Only sticking around
summer.
While supplies last. They should be in stores starting in May. If you're looking for Pringles and Miller Lites teaming up.
Potato crisps in a tube. Pop it up and get in the mood. Once you pop, you can stop.
Pringles and Miller Lite. Teaming up on a couple of new flavors. Run down to some of the unique food items that are going to be available. Obviously that Kahlua one only in England, but
doesn't Lay's, or maybe it's not Lay's, but doesn't one of them do like a create your own, and then they pick winners, and then they do them limited time?
Yeah, they've done several
like seven-layer dip.
Several chip makers have done that.
Lay's maybe? I don't know.
In the past. We've got Bad News, Happy Music coming up. Office Core is going to join us. The friggin' sports. Don't go anywhere.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
8:15-ish on Thursdays. We're joined by Office Cora. What are you up to right now, Office Cora?
Well, hello. We are under construction at our office. We have painters and we're getting new studio equipment as well.
So that's where my raise went. Okay.
In this building.
All right. That's where my raise went, is to your equipment. Okay. Gotcha.
Eau Claire. It's Eau Claire.
You're getting high on the paint?
A little bit.
You're already high enough on life, aren't you?
I am.
Well, Office Core, it's Hypothetical Thursday, and before we get to your list of things to do in the 715 this weekend, I asked Gene a question earlier, and it was, if you could only watch one for the rest of your life, would you choose movies or TV shows? Now, if you choose movies, you can't watch any TV shows ever again. And if you choose TV shows, you can't watch any movies ever again. New or old?
I think I would pick TV shows.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? Is there one you watch all the time?
Right now, I'm pretty deep into White Lotus.
Okay. But is there any historical or legendary TV shows that you go back and binge watch, like The Office or Seinfeld?
I think I would have Friends on repeat, or It's Always Sunny, or Seinfeld, or I think I could always have that rolling in the background.
I understand what you're saying. I really do.
Gene and I both went with movies.
They're easier to consume with shows. I get that. And plus, there's nothing better for me than a hotel room and an HGTV. But
I do like the half hour or the 22-minute engagement period. You know what I mean?
I like that a lot.
But we both took movies. It's more of an event, right? And plus, you can go to the theater. But I don't even know if she'll know what she'd want to be if she were a
Are you familiar with the Transformers? That's a no. That's okay.
There was a Transformer display in the Dells. I got my picture taken with something that looked like a big bumblebee.
Yeah, so there is a bumblebee, and I think there's a Megatron from the films, the Michael Bay movies that came out several years ago, outside of the Upside Down House in the Dells.
See, I'm familiar.
Yeah, but we were talking about the original cartoon from the 80s, and if you don't know anything about it, there's no point in asking the other questions.
So do you have a question for us, Cora?
Yes, and it is kind of television related.
Okay.
If you could jump into a television show, and that would be your real life, what show would you choose?
You're picking Seinfeld, aren't you?
My real life forever?
Yep.
Or just while I'm on the program?
It's going to be, you're jumping in, and this is your life.
Yeah, probably Seinfeld.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I just love that show. It connects with me. It's funny to me.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Oh, that's good.
If I could be the rich and famous.
I thought about maybe Married with Children because Al Bundy seems like a cool dude to hang out with, but
oh, that would be good.
Go to the strip club, stuff like that. But
how about you, Cora?
Do you have a TV show you would jump into?
Is this going to be is this soap opera or something?
I think I'd pick Parks and Rec. Just hanging out in Pawnee. That town is just ridiculous in all the best ways.
All right.
Office Cora says Park and Rec. Gene's going with Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
That sounds fun.
Good.
That just sounds fun for right now.
It technically was a TV show.
Yeah, I know it was.
And then Caviar Dreams and what is it? Champagne Dreams and Caviar Wishes or something like that?
Sure, all of it. I like caviar and champagne and wishes. Hey, Cora, what are you doing? It's a holiday weekend this weekend.
Yeah, what's going on in the 715 this weekend?
Saturday is actually the 7th annual Amazing Eau Claire Cleanup. Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, so community members are all coming together to perform outdoor spring cleanup in Eau Claire.
Nice.
And I'm registered. It's 9 a.m. to noon, and then they assign you a certain area. Like
we have something like that with the Habitat for Humanity here in La Crosse. It's Neighbors Day, and that's next weekend. Is that run by the Habitat up there, or is that a citywide organization? Or
I don't actually know who runs it.
But you work together to beautify houses or areas or clean up things for the community.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that good for you.
Is there still room for people to sign up if they want to join in? I'm assuming they always need more volunteers.
The registration is closed where they assign you to a place, but wherever you are, I just encourage you to pitch in, pick up litter, and hey, maybe don't drop it in the first place.
All right, so that's Saturday, you said?
That is Saturday. Tomorrow on Friday, I'm heading to Infinity Beverages. They have some of the most amazing cocktails, and I am a huge, huge fan.
Me too.
And they're also having the Rollin' Smoke barbecue food truck.
Ooh.
So I'm having that for dinner, and they're going to have some live music. But they make their own vodka, whiskey, wines, port wines, and they have some of these cocktails that they make that look so pretty, it's almost like you don't want to drink it, but you do because it's so good.
So Infinity Beverages?
That is 3 until 8:30 tomorrow.
3 until 8:30 tomorrow.
Food truck.
Doc just texted in, who does our racing report on Fridays. He said he would want to be Charlie Harper from 2.5 Men. I'm assuming that's Charlie Sheen's character.
Oh, that's a good one.
He bangs them all, right? That's kind of his deal.
Yeah, and he's rich. He's successful.
Golden
the
Girls.
ladies like him.
I like watching the Golden Girls. I don't know if I want to
Okay. All right.
participate in the Golden Girls.
All right.
Actually, when I started my house rental, I wanted to have like a Golden Girls theme. You know, like just me and some old ladies.
In house coats?
Well, whatever.
Making
Eating
pies?
cheesecake in the kitchen. Have you seen the show, Brian?
Yeah, they wear house coats. You know what a house coat is?
Or a moo-moo. It's a moo-moo. You could say that, too. Hey, are you wearing a house coat and making a ham on Sunday? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, what do you do for Easter? Do you cook for all your roommates there or your tenants or whatever you call them?
I think we're going to do our own separate thing. My mom is actually in hospice at the Coretta Senior Living Center. So my whole family, we're all coming together for a special Easter celebration filled with all the, just making all the memories.
That's awesome.
We got a text from Mike who had a good suggestion. My problem with this suggestion is that it's in Philadelphia, and he said I'd want to be in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I hate Philly. I hate their fans. I hate their people. I hate that city. I hate everything about it. And while I love the show and I think it's hilarious and it would be fun to hang out at Patty's Pub with those guys, I want nothing to do with Philadelphia. If that was Always Sunny in
anywhere else,
Newark, New Jersey, then okay, I'd be there. But I just Philly,
Cleveland,
I can't
St. Louis,
separate the two. I cannot.
Any of them.
So thank you, Office Corps. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend. Have a good Easter, okay? Eat lots of ham.
You
Hug your mama.
Make bad decisions, all right?
Bye.
I think the paint was doing a good thing. She was on point
she was
today.
High as hell.
Dude,
she was high
it was
as F.
succinct, though. It went from
high
thing
AF.
to thing.
That's getting right up in them nostrils.
I think it was good. It was good for her.
Swirling around in that brain cavity
Perfect.
of hers.
It worked out great.
Friggin' sports coming up after Jackal.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
Not sure if you saw, but frontman for Jackal, Jesse James Dupree, was recently hanging out with Robert Patrick, the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
I did not see that.
The actor.
Yes, officers, there's something wrong. Have you seen this boy?
Yeah, so Robert Patrick is an avid motorcyclist, and he owns a Harley shop, I believe, in California, and they were hanging out, I think, in Sturgis.
Of course they
recently.
were. Of course they were.
And Robert Patrick playing some kind of guitar chainsaw combo that Jesse James had. They were hanging out.
I'd hang out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. The friggin' sports! Brought to you by deodorant. Day number 2. Yesterday we found out about the tennis player who said that her opponent smelled really bad.
She was smelly.
And
Smelly
wanted
Shelley.
the umpire to tell her to put on some deodorant. I don't think all of the deodorant in the world would have helped her win her match. She lost 6-0, 6-3.
It wasn't the smell. It was the skill.
And the tennis player that she accused of being smelly has clapped back a little bit on the interwebs. French tennis player Lois Boisson firing back with a little bit of humor after Britain's Harriet Dart complained on court about her body odor, posting a photoshopped image of herself mid-serve, clutching a deodorant can and tagging Dove for a much-needed collab. This might work in her favor. She might be able to turn this into a bucks.
She's taking the joke and she's running with it.
Yeah. Well, she's going to make it her
She's
own.
owning it.
Yeah, and she's probably going to get some money out of it. Dove's probably going to be like, hell yeah, here's some money and here's some Dove. For your pits, your parts, and your privates. Whatever that thing is now. When did that become a thing? Why is that a thing now all of a sudden?
I don't know. Why am not?
It just seems like it's... All of a sudden, people care about what their underbreast smells like?
I think we've always cared. Maybe we just didn't talk about it. So she's going to be a spokesperson, perhaps? Or she's
we'll
going to
see.
get some...
We'll see what Dove says. I'm sure they'll probably try to get in on this. Why not? Dart has since apologized for blurting out that her opponent smells really bad during her defeat at the tennis match earlier this week. But
so she's like, hey.
Congrats to Lois Boisson.
Yeah.
For finding humor in it and maybe making a few extra bucks out of the deal.
I think that's great. It's great.
Good on her.
Well, and I believe that Dove's campaigns are all about,
active women who want to smell better.
Yes. So it fits right in the mold of what they're already speaking of. So, and whether they want to get in the thick of things or not or whatever, but I think it'd be great.
For your pits, your parts, and your privates. Rub that deodorant all over your over your stuff.
Or when you're a smelly tennis player. It's Dove.
Didn't people used to get mad at dudes who would coat themselves with Axe body spray?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're coating ourselves with deodorant so we don't have breast sweat?
There's a difference between, that was just, I think, to mask. You know what I mean? That was covering it up. This is supposed to, if it's antiperspirant, it's supposed to stop it from happening in the first place.
We've got bad news, happy music coming up in just a bit. Rockmornings.com if you want to get in touch with us. Mike, who suggested that he would jump into Sunny in Philadelphia, says, I responded. I said, I like the show. I love the bar, but I hate Philly. You said same. Would just be fun to hang out with them.
That's what you were saying. But Sunny in St. Louis. Sunny in
Boca Raton.
Okay, well.
You don't get the same rage that they have and the same miscreant behavior that they would have. You have to be from Philly to be that awful of a human being. That's part of the reason why it works.
That's why it's sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Daughtry in a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril. Now that's just nasty. Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some hashtag Florida Man for flavor.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man. Florida man. Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
Remind me again, there was a ring snafu at your wedding?
Yes.
Best man, trash, ring, correct?
Yes. The best man had my wedding band. Typically, that's
exchange of the rings.
They're holding it for the groom. And he cleaned out, he went to the gas station, filled up, emptied out his car, cleaned it out because there was going to be people riding in it, bridesmaids and things like that, and threw it in a garbage can at a gas station about 20 miles from the church. So he gets to the church, and my husband says, "Where's the ring?" And he says, "I got to go." Drives 20 miles back, digs through a garbage can, finds it.
Hey.
Drives back, and just in time for the start of the wedding.
Well, this bride was trying to make it for the start of her wedding, but was running a little bit late.
Why?
Police in Florida pulling over a vehicle last Friday, flying down the road at 105 miles per hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone.
Whose wedding is it?
It's mine.
What time is it?
It's 2:30.
Where at?
In Stewart at the courthouse.
So you're already late.
We're trying to get here.
Just give me a minute. I'll let you take her, but I'm going to give you a court date. It's a mandatory court appearance.
Thank you.
All right?
Now, she wasn't driving. There was a guy driving the car. Said they were on their way to a wedding. When the cops asked whose wedding it was, she said it was hers. The cop then asked what time the wedding was, and she said 2:30. The officer then pointed out, you're already 15 minutes late.
Yeah, you're already late.
For your own wedding.
Was it who? There's no explanation about who the dude was?
Not in this story, no. So I don't know if she was like, got a guy on the side, last minute, one last
almost too late.
One last fling before you tie yourself down.
This rodeo is going to end.
But said he'd let them get on their way, but only after he wrote them a ticket and assigned them a court date. Oop. Yeah.
Did it sound like the cops were going to take her to the wedding, or they were just going to let them? No, they were going to let them go, but first a ticket.
Well, ticket,
yeah,
court date, and then let him go. But yeah, you got to wonder, like, you're already 15 minutes late, and you're with some guy that.
I mean, maybe a brother or uncle, or you know what I mean,
we don't know
usher
who
or someone important. But
add this to the list of reasons to never get on a plane again. A United flight from Denver to Edmonton had to make an emergency landing on Sunday after an apparent encounter with a bunny.
Like a bunny?
Shortly after the flight took off, the 153 passengers on board heard a loud bang and felt a significant vibration, and outside the window, blasts of fire coming from one of the engines. No part of any of that. People yelling fire and screaming and going crazy while the plane's going blah, 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 blah. The plane got down safely after about 75 minutes in the air. Passengers obviously shaken, nobody injured. Footage of the panic on board when the fireballs are seen outside the windows of the plane. Ugh. The passengers put onto another plane. Oh, yeah, sure, let's just get on another one. and the grounded plane was inspected, repaired, and has since been returned to service. Not clear exactly what happened, but authorities believe that a rabbit either jumped or was sucked into the right engine while the plane was on the ground, causing it to backfire during the climb. In fact, the pilot even said, "Rabbit through number 2, that'll do it."
And that's all, folks.
Jumped into or got sucked up into?
You know, those things will suck.
Oh, I'd see more realistically it sucked it up than it jumped into it.
Birds fly in there all day. You know, that happens. No official word on the condition of the rabbit, but let's just say it's probably not going to be alive.
No. Oh, absolutely not. Very shredded. Very.
Yeah. Again, adding that to the list.
Scary.
Of reasons not to fly ever again. You know what holiday is coming up this weekend, right?
I will in a heartbeat. What holiday is coming up this week? Oh, yeah. You mean Easter, Good Friday? It's also 420. Sure.
Is that Freedom Rock, man?
Then turn it up.
An unusual request from the local police. Get high, get tested. Trying to see what the effects of weed are for driving and impairment and all that crap.
So they're running a voluntary thing where
Yes.
they're asking for you to
come on down and smoke your weed with us.
And then we're going to do some fun, tests that won't mean anything except for them to get an education or learn some stuff.
This is in Bellevue, Seattle, somewhere in the state of Washington, sent by the Southwest Precinct Crime Prevention Coordinator. The SPD training unit will be hosting a DUI Green Lab on May 9th. Looking for volunteers age 21 or older to consume marijuana and allow officers to practice standard field sobriety tests on them.
So, Ahab, type on my doobage?
Great opportunity for the officers to learn from consumers in a controlled environment.
For sure.
And for volunteers to learn about their own tolerances and learn about the testing processes for DUIs.
Listen up. That was my skull. I'm so wasted.
Kind of like years ago when we were doing we were drinking
That
during
was
the show.
before me. That was someone else.
And we did the goggles.
I always wanted to do that, but I never did it. I mean, I did the goggles in the police training course that I took.
Yes.
Just to see, because they do it as part of impaired driving, you know? You get behind the wheel and you got the special goggles on that are supposed to mimic what it's like when you're drunk.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to sit around with a breathalyzer and just pound beers and see how many it takes and where I'm at and how many I can
The
stand.
problem was that one of our coworkers
Yacked.
all over the bathroom, and then I had to clean it up when he got his butt taken home by other coworkers because he couldn't handle it.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
Threw up all over the bathroom. I'm like, are you a man?
Is it a guy with a PBR tattoo?
He was drinking boxed wine.
Oh, you never drink boxed wine.
He threw up all
Certainly
over the
not at
place.
work.
But we worked with the cops. They came in and they did breathalyzers, and we did kind of like that, only with weed.
Volunteers would be asked to arrive at the training facility at about 9:30 in the morning. Training would be finished by about 4, so you got a full day. They asked the volunteers to provide their own product with receipts if possible.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm going to get you high today.
Yeah, they are going to.
Because it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got to do.
We will provide lunch and snacks. We also asked the volunteers not to drive to or from the training, but we can provide transportation if necessary.
Because I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high.
At the cop shop. I hope they have good snacks.
The training is relevant because an increasing number of DUIs involve this type of impairment.
Mm-hmm. Like Funyuns or chili cheese Fritos.
Pizza.
You know what I mean? Maybe some gummy bears.
Again, this is in the state of Washington, so
Yeah, legal there.
not anything around here, at least. Not yet. Hashtag Florida man. This is hauntingly scary.
Uh-oh. More so, is this like the eating the face, the guy that ate the face?
That is
Bath
obviously
salts.
bath salts. That is one of the worst we've ever heard of. In the middle of the highway in broad daylight, chewing someone's face off. But this is horrific. This is you.
What?
Grocery store.
Yeah.
A Florida man going to spend over a decade behind bars for brutally stabbing a woman who criticized his children at the supermarket. Yamakar Rodkesh Gale, I think is how you pronounce his name, convicted by a jury of his peers in March after a 3-day trial. The defendant sentenced to 12 years in prison on one count of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon or causing great bodily harm. The knife attack occurred near the butcher's counter at a supermarket in Port Charlotte. This was back in June of 2023. Gale shopping at the store with his kids and his ex-wife. When they went back towards the meat section, a woman entering the store stood in line waiting to buy meat at the counter near the family. At some point, there was a verbal altercation that ended being over the kids' behavior, and the victim said something to Gale's ex-wife, and they ended up arguing. Gale stood back and did not get involved. Everything calmed down, apparently, after a few moments. And then after getting her meat order, the victim left the counter and returned to pick up the rest. Passing by Gale's ex-wife, words were exchanged again. The victim pushes Gale's ex-wife back, and Gale steps up to the victim as she turns around towards him. The victim bumps into Gale after being touched. The defendant and the victim finally got into an argument. Next, the victim can be seen on surveillance footage pushing Gale against the meat cooler and walking past him. This guy, incensed, crazy, grabs a cast iron pan from a shelf in the store and swung it at the victim. His oldest daughter intercepted, took the pan from her dad. Then he grabbed a package of knives. He didn't have his own knife. He went to the aisle with the knives and got the knives and started taking one out and stabbing this lady in the middle of the grocery store because they argued over this kid's behavior while they were in the store. In the video, I observed Gale swing overhand twice at the victim, then twice across the victim, and then twice in an overhand motion again.
Oh, my gosh.
After the stabbing, he fled through the parking lot.
With his children?
The victims, though severely wounded, followed after him in an attempt to photograph the license plate of his vehicle. This lady's been stabbed a bunch of times.
All of that sounds like crazy that I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around any of that. Yelling at people at the meat counter. I'm just walking away. I'm not doing that.
The store owner apparently saw all this go down and said that Gale and his family were regular customers, came in the store all the time. Put his bloody clothes in a trash bag, drove to New York from Port Charlotte, Florida.
Ugh.
Yeah. Crazy. The woman, by the way, survived.
Okay.
Bad news, happy music on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Don't criticize other people's kids in grocery stores. You might get stabbed.
I'm not going to do that anyway.
Don't criticize people for budging in grocery stores because you might get stabbed.
Those are things you say after you leave to yourself and when you get home. You don't necessarily do that there.
Anything that's going on in the store, I'm just avoiding it. Unless it's someone getting attacked and I think I can help out in a situation.
Of course.
But if there's some crazy stuff going on with people yelling and arguing,
head down, out. I'm out.
I'm going to the next aisle.
For the most part.
I don't want to be involved.
If you have to have words or exchange between people at the meat counter.
The part of the problem is I don't want to be stuck there. I don't want to be stuck there for a long time.
Talking to them about.
Because if you get involved, then you got to do a witness statement when the cops show up, and I got to be there forever. And you got a cart full of groceries. And it's like, man, I'm just trying to get home and put these in the fridge.
Arguing with strangers at the meat counter. Come on.
Bad news, happy music. We'll get to our daily check-ins after Soundgarden.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Hit up the website, rockmornings.com, for all of our contact info. Your buddy Smokin' Joe.
Yeah.
Texted in, said, thanks for the story about the airplane. 1 week from today, I'm flying from Denver to Green Bay for the draft.
Is he really?
Apparently.
That dude is living his best life, I'm telling you what.
Good luck. Hopefully your plane doesn't eat a rabbit or a buffalo or something.
10,000 a day, Joe.
Fine.
Fine.
I'm sure it'll be great.
What are you doing at the draft? Tell us about that.
I don't want to hear about Smokin' Joe's draft experience.
I do.
Well, then email Gene. Brian.
Come on, tell us about your draft experience.
Got a text from someone who said DUI testing uses alcohol, not beer, when I had it done years and years and years ago. I don't care about the DUI testing. What I was talking about is having a breathalyzer and us drinking, because I drink beers. I don't drink alcohol. So my thought was to do that. It wouldn't be a controlled environment.
It'd be
it's just
cop
for fun.
friends and the breathalyzer and the thing and the glasses.
I appreciate
and the
your desire to stay technical, but
all
that
I know
wasn't what we were
is
describing.
our coworker barfed. He
was drinking box wine.
He was drinking box wine.
That's how official the whole DUI testing was. Let's not get our pants in a twist here.
He was.
We're just talking
box
about
wine.
seeing how drunk we get.
And then I was.
Think of it like
I was taking care of things, and I had to clean up the bathroom and find him a ride home. It was a mess. He was a mess.
Because you care. See, when you don't care, you don't have to do this kind of crap.
I did, and it was dumb because I had to clean it up.
Yeah. Think of this as more of like a backseat of the cop car in Superbad situation, right? Drinking beers and blowing in the breathalyzer.
More like that.
That kind of thing. Your own personal testing, they said. Try not to puke. Yeah, I'm not trying to get that drunk. Ryan, who texted in earlier, said if he could pick a TV show, he would go to Mythbusters. Because getting to blow stuff up with explosives seems like fun. Plus,
that does.
He always thought Carrie Byron was hot. Bob texted in, said Gilligan's Island, wants to be marooned on an island.
I do not.
With a bunch of people.
Coconut radios and...
Mike said, I'd want to be on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I said, I like the show. I love the bar, but I hate Philly. He said, same. Just be fun to hang out with them. Doc wants to be Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men. Is that with or without the AIDS? Is that pre-AIDS or after AIDS? Because after the AIDS, he got let go, right?
It's very pre.
Text from our buddy Jim, who's back from Kuwait, said 43 days left in the Army. After 23 years, it's going to feel weird. I asked him if he was going to retire, or do one of those retire from the military and then get some. And he said he's fully retiring, and he might even move back to Georgia.
Well, that is a full career. That is a lifetime given to the military.
We were talking about Pringles and new chip flavors, and you were talking about the contests and stuff. Lay's does a flavor contest, and the current ones, the ones that are coming out apparently this year, are Valentina and lime. So it's some kind of like hot sauce and lime, bacon grilled cheese, and Korean style fried chicken flavored Lay's potato chips.
There's a lot of chicken incorporated into chips lately, isn't there?
People love chicken. People are obsessed with chicken.
Yeah.
Also got a text from Jacob earlier. Said, good morning, Brian and Gene. My name is Jacob, and I was listening to your conversation about Transformers Sea Spray. I do remember there was a Sea Spray.
He was a boat. She was a boat.
Was an Autobot in the second wave in Generation 1, and in Season 4 they had an Autobot named Broadside that turned into an aircraft carrier. Yeah. I still am sticking with Soundwave.
I'm telling you, like a 40-foot lake pontoon.
Yeah, but Sea Spray was not a pontoon. He was more like a tugboat.
Like turned into just a pontoon, like a party barge kind of thing.
Tugboat. I think he was more of like a tugboat. Thanks for all the correspondence this morning. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.